Billionaire's girlfriend mocks Waitress'S accent. 24 hours later, incredible twist at midnight. The elegant restaurant bustled with the whispers of the wealthy elite, but one voice pierced through like a knife. What a thick accent! Tiffany, the billionaire's glamorous girlfriend, laughed, her voice dripping with disdain as she pointed at the waitress. The room fell silent. All eyes turned. The waitress, Kelly, felt her cheeks blaze as the laughter echoed in her ears. She had expected a mundane night serving overpriced entrees, not becoming the center of a cruel joke. The restaurant's golden chandeliers glinted menacingly, casting shadows on faces who seemed to relish this moment of mockery. But hours later, a storm was brewing just outside. The sky grew dark, clouds swirling like they were alive, electric tension crackling through the air. Thunder rumbled as if it knew the injustice, and a tree branch snapped violently in the wind. At least the weather reflected the chaos about to unfold. Kelly returned home, her heart heavy, a tightness in her chest that wouldn't go away. She had no idea that the universe was about to turn her world upside down. Outraged and wounded, she stared at her phone. She was a nobody, just a waitress. Yet something inside her stirred. A flicker of determination ignited. As she folded her services apron for the last time that evening, a strange chill swept through her tiny apartment, and a loud knock hit her door. Felt wrong, foreboding. She opened the door only to find a shadowy figure standing beneath the flickering streetlight, face obscured. "You don't know what's coming?" he whispered, sending a shiver down Kelly's spine. "Who are you?" She stepped back, pulse racing. The figure only smiled, and that S when the phone in her pocket buzzed an unknown number. She hesitated, the air thick with silence as the wind howled. Everything collided. Something incredible waited just beyond the brink of midnight. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." As she reluctantly answered the call, the voice on the other end sent her heart racing. "Kelly, you won't believe what we have planned. It's your chance to change everything." What did they want? The promise of revenge? Or something more sinister? Another knock echoed in the dark, this time louder, more urgent. At that moment, the shadows pranced as if they were dancing to the rhythm of her heart. And Kelly knew she couldn't turn back. What had she stepped into? The night held secrets deep enough to drown in. Kelly's heart raced as she clutched the phone, the voice on the other end seeping into her thoughts like a dark fog. "Change everything?" she whispered, each word heavy with the weight of uncertainty. The wind picked up outside, rattling her window as though the storm itself were urging her to act. "What are you talking about?" she blurted out. The figure at her door shifted, shadows stretching into unnatural shapes. "Listen closely, Kelly," the voice continued, urgency crackling like static. "We know all about what happened at the restaurant. You've been wronged, and we can help you make it right. It's time for justice." "Justice?" she scoffed, the word bitter on her tongue. "And who exactly are you?" A chilling laugh echoed over the line. "Just a friend. A friend who knows that Tiffany's little joke is just the tip of the iceberg. We want to expose her, and we want you to be part of it." Kelly's mind spun, caught in a whirlwind of possibilities. The humiliation from earlier mixed with a nascent desire for revenge. But at what cost? The pounding on her door pulled her back to the moment, and she instinctively took a step back, eyeing the door with trepidation. Without thinking, she blurted out, "What do I have to do?" "Meet me at the old warehouse by the docks in 1 hour. Come alone and don't tell anyone. This is your chance to change the narrative, Kelly. Make them see you." The call ended abruptly, the harsh click sending echoes of doubt through her. Taking a deep breath, she glanced back at the door, still gripped in a relentless cycle of fear and intrigue. The figure remained, hanging in the shadows like a dark omen. "Are you going to let me in?" he asked, his voice smooth but laced with danger. For a moment, she stood frozen in place. Who was this person? An admirer? An agent of chaos? "Who sent you?" she demanded, summoning a flicker of courage. "Someone who wants to help," he replied, stepping forward into the light. His face was still obscured, but she caught a glimmer of something in his eyes: determination, perhaps, or a twinge of malice. "Stay back." She raised her phone like a weapon, ready to call the police. But to her surprise, the figure held his hands up in a placating gesture. "I'm not here to hurt you, but what they did to you, it goes much deeper. Tiffany is more than she seems, and you need to know the truth." "What truth?" Kelly felt her heart tremble, torn between fear and curiosity. "Meet me at the warehouse. You'll see for yourself." With that, he stepped back into the shadow, leaving her with a choice that could change everything. The thought of confronting Tiffany, of flipping the script, sparked something inside her. But was she ready to take that risk? The storm outside roared in agreement as she stole a glance at the clock on the wall. 5 minutes until 11. The countdown to the unexpected began to buzz in her veins, pulling her like a magnet. After everything, she was no longer willing to be just a waitress. A girl mocked for her accent. Could this be her moment? In a rush, she grabbed her jacket, heart pounding, and headed for the door. The weight of unknown consequences pressed down on her, but she stepped into the night, knowing that the path ahead was uncharted. As she approached the warehouse, the distant sounds of the city faded away. An uneasy silence blanketed her like a shroud. The night promised revelations, but what would they cost? She stood at the door, hand trembling as she reached for the handle. Was she about to walk into something dark and dangerous? Or would it finally lead her to the justice she craved? With a twist of the handle, she opened the door and a rush of cold air enveloped her. But what she didn't know was that the real twist was just beginning. Inside the warehouse, shadows danced like specters in the flickering light overhead. The air smelled damp, heavy with the scent of rust and forgotten things. Kelly stepped in cautiously, her heart racing as she scanned the cavernous space. "Hello?" she called, her voice small against the vast emptiness. No answer, just the echo of her own uncertainty. As her eyes adjusted to the dim light, she noticed shapes stacked in the corners: pallets, crates, and a few oil barrels. Each object felt like a ghost of secrets holding their breath, waiting. The sound of dripping water echoed somewhere in the distance, adding to the tension that curled in her stomach. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was the same man she'd seen earlier, but as he stepped into the light, the unease in her gut intensified. His face was familiar. She'd seen him in the restaurant: the bartender, an unseen backstage player in her humiliation. "You came," he said, his voice both grave and relieved. "I wasn't sure you would. What do you want from me?" She crossed her arms, trying to hold her ground. "More than you know." He took a step closer, eyes intense. "Tiffany is just a puppet, Kelly. She's tangled in a web far beyond her little jokes. If you want justice, you have to understand what you're dealing with." "Deal with what?" She felt the walls closing in. "What's this got to do with me?" He motioned for her to follow, and she hesitated, but curiosity pushed her forward. He led her to the back of the warehouse, where a makeshift screen had been set up. In front of it, a projector flickered to life, casting images against the wall. Kelly squinted as they came into focus: pictures, faces from her past. "Wait, that's my mother?" The image of her mother from years ago caught her breath like a fist. The emotion crashed over her like a wave, pulling her into memories she thought had faded. The man nodded. "Yes, and she's deeper in this than you think. Tiffany's been using her connection to exploit you. Your mother never abandoned you. She was forced to make a choice that Tiffany orchestrated." No, the walls of her reality began to crumble, and she felt dizzy. "What are you saying?" He clicked to another image, and there it was. Tiffany, laughing, arm around a man in a sharp suit, a meeting she hadn't known existed. This isn't just about a joke. It's a family affair, Kelly. You're a pawn in a game with stakes that could destroy everything you know. Kelly's vision blurred as the weight of the revelation sank in. Her anger at Tiffany morphed into confusion, the threads of her life unraveling before her eyes. Why should I believe you? Because it's the truth. And if you want to take back control, you need to confront Tiffany armed with what you now know. His expression softened, revealing a glimmer of sympathy. Don't let her laugh at you again. Not when you have the upper hand. But as reality settled around her like fog, a new fear took hold. Trust was a luxury she couldn't afford, not when everything felt like a cruel joke. What if this is a trap? What if you're just using me? Before he could respond, a loud crash echoed from the front of the warehouse, reverberating through the heavy stillness. They both turned toward the sound, hearts pounding, eyes wide. Did you hear that? Kelly whispered, fear creeping back in. The man tensed, glancing at the door. We need to get out of here, now. Just as they turned to leave, the shadows at the entrance shifted, and a figure stepped into the light, the unmistakable silhouette of Tiffany. Her face twisted into a smug grin. Well, what do we have here? She purred, the venom in her voice clear as day. Looks like you've been busy, Kelly. In that moment, Kelly felt the stakes rise higher than ever, the path to justice now a labyrinth full of traps and deceit. But the final game was about to begin. Tiffany's laughter echoed throughout the warehouse, sharp and mocking. Did you really think you could dig up secrets without consequences? Her eyes sparkled with malevolence as she surveyed them like a predator sizing up its prey. Kelly's heart raced. She glanced at the man beside her, his jaw clenched tight. We shouldn't be here. Not now, he muttered, backing away as Tiffany stepped closer, hands on her hips. What's the matter? Afraid of the big bad wolf? Tiffany taunted, her voice dripping with sarcasm. She leaned forward, showcasing a confidence that made Kelly's skin crawl. You've been snooping where you don't belong. And now, look what you found, a little family reunion. Enough, the man barked, stepping protectively in front of Kelly. This isn't just a game for you anymore, Tiffany. You're toying with lives. Tiffany smirked. Oh honey, I've been toying with lives long before either of you existed. But now it gets interesting. Aren't you tired of playing with people's hearts? Kelly shouted, the words flying out before she could stop them. She felt the adrenaline surge through her veins, turning her fear into anger. You think you can just control everything? You think you can humiliate us and get away with it? Tiffany rolled her eyes dramatically. Sweetheart, you're in over your head. You have no idea what I'm capable of. I can ruin you with a single phone call. Then why haven't you? The defiance surprised Kelly even as she said it, emboldened by desperation. If I'm just a pawn in your game, why not crush me now? For a brief moment, Tiffany's confidence faltered, the smug facade dropping. You really don't know, do you? I want you to suffer, but I also want a show. Your pain is more entertaining to me than a quick kill. Why? The question hung heavily in the air. Because your suffering is personal, Kelly. You're connected to a past I thought I could bury. Tiffany's eyes darkened, the crazed glint replaced with something more unsettling. I'll enjoy making you doubt yourself, watching you unravel. As tension filled the space, the man took a step forward. We won't let you do that. Tiffany laughed again, a chilling sound that made Kelly shiver. Oh, but you already are. She gestured behind her, and the garage door creaked as it opened wider, revealing 3 menacing silhouettes stepping into the space, armed with intent. Kelly's heart plummeted. Who are they? Just my friends. Tiffany shrugged dismissively, her malice surfacing again. They're here to ensure I get what I want. And I want you both to suffer before the end. In that instant, fear tightened around Kelly's throat. She had stepped into a nightmare, and there was no exit in sight. Would they be trapped here? The warehouse felt like a tomb, claustrophobic and darkening under the weight of impending doom. The man beside her whispered urgently, we need to make a choice now. Fight or run. Either way, the truth cannot stay buried. Before she could process the gravity of his words, one of Tiffany's men lunged forward. Kelly's instincts kicked in, adrenaline pumping. She grabbed the nearest object, a rusty metal pipe, and swung it wildly. The clang of metal hitting flesh resonated, and chaos erupted around them. Kelly's heart raced as she fought against the panicked energy swirling in the air. But with every swing, every desperate attempt to break free, the shadows loomed larger, closing in around her. She locked eyes with Tiffany, whose grin only widened, a reflection of the chaos she had orchestrated. "Let us see how far you'll go to uncover the truth, Kelly," Tiffany sneered as the confrontation reached its peak. Kelly felt a fierce determination. This wasn't just about humiliation anymore. It was about survival. But as the fight raged on, one thought burned in her mind. What more was Tiffany hiding? A blinding flash in the corner of her eye caught her attention. Was that another figure lurking just outside the doors? Kelly's pulse quickened. Who else was playing this game? And could they turn the tide in their favor? The web of deceit was thickening, and she needed to know the truth before it was too late. The air crackled with tension as Kelly steadied her grip on the pipe. The fight around her swirled like a storm of chaos, fists flying, shadows darting. She quickly glanced at the man beside her, hope beginning to fade from his expression. They had to escape. With a deep breath, she swung at the first assailant, a tall man with a scar stretching across his cheek. He staggered backward, shock written across his features. But there was no time to relish her small victory. She could feel the other men closing in, the glints of steel catching the dim light overhead. "Just keep moving," the man beside her shouted. He ducked under a wild swing aimed at his head and shoved one of Tiffany's thugs to the ground. The crash echoed, and for a brief moment, Kelly saw a glimmer of a chance. She dashed past her would-be captors, pumping adrenaline through her veins. It was visceral. Survival instinct kicked in as the grip of terror shoved her to flee. But Tiffany's laughter continued to haunt her, echoing through the warehouse like a specter demanding her return. "Not so fast," a voice thundered, and she felt a heavy hand clasp down on her shoulder, yanking her back. She spun around, the pipe raised high, but he grabbed it before she could swing. "You really thought you could escape? Let her go," her companion yelled, charging forward. But before he could reach them, another thug stepped into his path, blocking him with a smug grin. Everything felt like it was happening at once. Kelly's heart was pounding, each beat a furious drum urging her to fight back. She let go of the pipe, pushing against the man's chest and breaking free from his grasp. But Tiffany's men were relentless. One moved in close, catching her waist and yanking her backward. Kelly gasped, the air scraping her throat as she struggled against him, kicking and clawing. She could hear the chaos around her pained grunts, the loud clang of metal, the sinister laughter of Tiffany. Suddenly, the blinding flash outside the door intensified. A dark figure stepped into the warehouse, silhouetted against the light. Kelly squinted, torn between fear and curiosity. Who was it? The presence seemed powerful, larger than life, and she couldn't shake the feeling that this was no ordinary savior. The thugs halted momentarily, whispering among themselves, uncertain. "What the hell is that?" one of them muttered, his eyes darting to Tiffany. "Stay put," Tiffany commanded, but doubt crept into her confident demeanor. The new figure stepped fully into view, a tall man clad in shadows, his face concealed by the brim of a fedora. "Tiffany," he boomed, his voice deep and resonant. "This game ends now." At the sound of his voice, a chill slid down Kelly's spine. Who are you?" she breathed, recognizing that this was a potential ally or a new threat. "Let us just say I have unfinished business with your little friend here," the man replied, locking eyes with Tiffany, whose composure began to slip, revealing tension beneath her bravado. "Unfinished?" Tiffany spat, eyes narrowing. "You don't know the half of it." "Maybe not. But you've painted a far too reckless picture," he said, moving with an intimidating grace. "And it's time someone held you accountable." Before Kelly could fully process the situation, the tension snapped, erupting into chaos once again. The menacing thugs lunged, but this stranger was swift, throwing one against the wall. The other two scrambled, but chaos had swallowed them whole. Kelly stood frozen, heart racing, trying to grasp the turn of events. Was this man a savior, or was he just another player in this dangerous game? Come on. He called back to Kelly and her companion. We can't stay here. As they sprinted towards him, the warehouse erupted in sound, chaos weaving through the air. And just as they broke free, a deafening boom resonated behind them. What was that? Kelly gasped, her chest tightening. But the man didn't falter. We'll regroup later. For now, we're not safe yet. With a surge of adrenaline, they raced into the night, not knowing what horrors lay behind or what was yet to come. A pulse of uncertainty gripped Kelly as they fled into the darkness. Who was this man? And could he really be trusted? As they rounded the corner, she felt the weight of Tiffany's gaze still burning into her back, and she couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was just beginning. What other dark truths were waiting to be uncovered? They ran, the night swallowing them. Kelly's thoughts raced faster than her feet. Who was this man in shadows, with a voice that commanded fear and respect? He led them through the narrow alleys, illuminated intermittently by flickering streetlights that cast serpentine shadows on damp concrete. Where are we going? Her companion gasped, glancing back every few seconds, nerves fraying at the edges. Somewhere safe, the stranger replied, not breaking his stride. His fedora bobbed as he turned another corner, pulling them deeper into the labyrinth of the city. Kelly's heart hammered like a drum against her ribcage. They burst onto a main road bustling with nightlife, the air rich with the scent of street food and the distant thrum of laughter. People swarmed, blissfully unaware of the danger looming just behind them. She felt a flicker of hope among the chaos. Perhaps they could lose their pursuers. Do you think they're still following us? She asked, fighting for steady breaths. Yes, but not for long, he hissed, glancing over his shoulder. They ducked into a quaint cafe, its neon sign buzzing softly. The bell jingled as they entered, the warm aroma washing over them like a blanket. The stranger led them through a back door and into an empty storage room. He bolted the door behind them, the sound echoing ominously in the silence. What now? Kelly asked, half expecting him to vanish like a wisp of smoke. Are we safe? We should be, he murmured, his eyes darting, calculating. But we need to talk. Her companion crossed his arms, tension radiating off him. Who the hell are you? Someone who knows Tiffany, he said, a hard edge creeping into his voice. Someone who has been watching. Kelly clenched her fists, both anger and fear tightening her chest. Watching? Why? What do you want? To help you, he replied, his gaze unflinching. But there was an undercurrent she couldn't trust. Tiffany is involved in something much darker than you realize. And you're in the middle of it. What do you mean? She whispered, the weight of his words sinking in. Let's just say Tiffany's empire is built on more than just power. It's a web of lies, corruption, and betrayal. You stumbled upon something she doesn't want getting out. Kelly felt dizzy as pieces began falling into place. But I didn't I just exactly, he cut in, his voice sharp. You didn't mean to. But now they won't stop until they silence you. Or worse. Just then, a loud crash resonated from outside. Kelly's heart leaped into her throat. The thugs couldn't have tracked them this fast. Could they? Panic coursed through her, tightening around her like a noose. We need to leave now, her companion urged, urgency pushing him forward. The stranger's demeanor shifted, replacing calm confidence with a sharp alertness. No, we stay hidden. They're not just looking for you. They're looking for me too. Why you? Kelly demanded, feeling sick. What do you have to do with any of this? He hesitated, the weight of the secret darkening his eyes. I was once part of that world. I made some choices, bad ones. But I can bring her down. Together? Her companion interjected, incredulous. You expect us to trust you? I don't expect anything, the shadowy figure replied, an edge of bitterness creeping into his tone. But know this. If you don't, you're as good as dead. The air thickened with tension, the reality of the danger closing in around them. Listen, he started, but before he could finish, the door splintered under a powerful force, sending a pulse of terror racing through Kelly. "Go!" she shouted, adrenaline surging once more. "We can't let them catch us." But before they could make a valid escape, a familiar voice floated through the doorway, cutting the panic. "Kelly!" it purred, sinister and sweet, like poison. Tiffany stood framed in the doorway, flanked by menacing figures, her icy smile sending a chill down Kelly's spine. "Did you really think you could run forever?" As a wave of dread washed over her, a chilling realization surged there was nowhere left to hide. What would Tiffany unleash next? The air hung thick with tension, heavy with impending doom. Kelly's mind raced, her heart pounding against her ribs like a frantic prisoner seeking escape. Tiffany's ice-cold gaze bore into her, radiating an unsettling mixture of superiority and malice. "Move and I'll make this painful," Tiffany threatened, her smile widening. Behind her, the heavies shifted, muscles tensed, ready to pounce. "Let us not do anything hasty," the stranger said, his hands raised. He was visibly shaken now, his bravado slipping as Tiffany's presence loomed larger. "Are you dying to play hero?" Tiffany laughed, the sound dripping with mockery. "It's adorable. Really. Just let us go," Kelly blurted, her voice cracking. Each syllable echoed in the sparse room, met by the heavy silence that followed. "Go?" Tiffany mused, her tone playful as if discussing an easy game. "Why would I do that? You have something I want, dear. Information." Kelly exchanged a glance with her companion, confusion intertwined with fear. She had stumbled into a trap, and the walls were closing in. "What information?" she managed, desperation edging her question. "I know all about the little secrets Tiffany shares at midnight," the stranger said, stepping forward, drawing the attention back to him. "Things that could ruin her world." Tiffany's smirk faltered. "You shouldn't have come back, Jake. Did you really think you'd escape your past unscathed?" "Maybe I didn't care about being unscathed," he snapped back, a flicker of defiance lighting his eyes. "But I care about these two." Such noble sentiments. Tiffany rolled her eyes, cutting through the air like a knife. "But how tragic for them." She motioned to her thugs. "Time to make a choice, Kelly. Are you with us or not?" "Kelly, don't," her companion shouted, grabbing her arm as if to shield her from the escalating threat. Tiffany stepped closer. "You think you can keep her safe? Love is an illusion, darling. In my world, only power matters. And right now I hold it." The struggle for control became palpable. Every minute felt like an hour. The thugs shifted, their patience waning, itching for action. Kelly's chest tightened as panic lacerated her thoughts. "Where is the thrill in playing it safe, Kelly?" Tiffany taunted, a glint of madness in her eyes. "Embrace the chaos. All I need is a little cooperation." "Cooperation for what?" Kelly asked, her voice trembling yet defiant. "For you to spill the secrets," Tiffany said, leaning in close. Kelly could smell the perfume, expensive and suffocating. "I want to know what you overheard." "Who else knows? You're a loose end and I can't have that." A loud crack echoed through the room as her companion shouted, "Get away from her." In an instant, the air erupted into chaos. Jake lunged forward, and the heavies closed in. Kelly felt a surge of adrenaline as everything accelerated around her. Shouts mixed with the sound of fists colliding, but all she could focus on was Tiffany's sneering face, inches from her own. Fueled by adrenaline, Kelly made a split-second decision. She spotted a window behind the towering shelves of supplies. If they could just make it there. "Now!" she shouted, grabbing her companion's hand. They dashed sideways, the chaos erupting behind them like a fireworks display of aggression. The window was their only chance. Kelly glanced back at Jake, who was grappling with two of Tiffany's thugs, his face set in grim determination. His fate was tied to them now, and she couldn't abandon him. "Let him go," she cried, but her voice was lost in the fray. The window loomed closer, and just as hope flickered, the door to the storage room burst open. Two more thugs storming in, eager to seal their fate. Fear gripped her like icy fingers, the weight of looming darkness closing in as she reached the window. She felt the weight of destiny pushing her forward. Just as she was about to leap, the ground shook beneath her, the sound of rapid footfalls closing in. "Tiffany won't stop until you're dead," Jake shouted, urgency breathing fire into his tone. "You must jump." Would they escape? Or would they be swallowed by the chaos they tried to outrun? In their moment of indecision, everything hung in balance. With no time left, she whispered a silent prayer and pushed through the window. But as she leapt, a scream tore through the air, stopping her cold. "Kelly!" The sound was unmistakable. It gutted her heart. Who had called her name? What had she done? Every choice they made unspooled like unraveling thread, leading them deeper into an unthinkable fate. And then the world erupted into darkness. The darkness enveloped Kelly like a shroud, swallowing her whole. She felt a rush of air as she hit the ground, rolling to absorb the impact. Her chest tightened, heart racing, as she blinked against the sudden contrast of the dim alleyway against the bright chaos she had just left behind. "Kelly, are you okay?" Her companion's voice cut through the haze, frantic with concern. "Yeah, I'm fine," she shouted back, fighting to control the tremors threatening to overtake her body. They were out, but at what cost? Kelly's breath came in quick bursts, fear twisting in her gut as images of Jake's struggle replayed in her mind. What had happened to him? "Where do we go?" her friend asked, scanning the darkness, eyes wide with panic. "Anywhere but here," Kelly replied, adrenaline still surging through her veins. She gripped her companion's hand tighter, determined to keep moving. They dashed down the alley, shadows flickering around them, unsure of what lurked in the dark. They reached the end, bursting onto a street bustling with nightlife. Neon lights flickered above, illuminating the faces of people laughing, singing, oblivious to the storm that raged just behind them. "We need to blend in," Kelly said, pulling her hair down to conceal her face. "Act normal." "Normal?" her friend whispered, glancing back at the alleyway as if Tiffany or her thugs might emerge from the shadows at any moment. "How do we do that?" Kelly took a steadying breath, trying to mask her shaking hands. "Just let us walk. Pretend we're just a couple of friends coming from dinner." They tread through the crowd, the upbeat music drowning out the thud of her heartbeat. Kelly's mind was racing in different directions. She needed to find a safe place to figure out their next steps. "We have to get to a phone. Call for help. Maybe someone knows how to deal with Tiffany. We can't let her win." As they walked, she spotted a diner with a flickering sign that seemed like a beacon of hope. "There. Let us go in there." They slipped inside, the warmth enveloping them like a blanket. It smelled of grease and coffee, a comforting contrast to the chaos outside. Kelly dragged her friend to a booth in the corner, where they sank into the darkness, the hum of bustling conversations blending into a dull roar. "Let us talk," Kelly said, lowering her voice. "What do we do now?" "I don't know, Kelly. What if she finds us? We need more than just an escape plan." Her friend's eyes darted around nervously, glancing at every stranger. Kelly let her anger boil to the surface. "We can't just sit here. We have to fight back. I won't let her hurt Jake or anyone else." Before her friend could respond, a loud crash interrupted their conversation. A group of rowdy patrons had knocked over a table in a fit of laughter. The commotion drew the attention of the diner staff, causing a brief pause in the atmosphere. It was just a distraction, a burst of inadequacy in the chaos that mirrored her own heartbeat. Suddenly, the front door swung open, a rush of cold air blowing in like a warning. Kelly felt every nerve in her body freeze as she spotted a familiar figure slipping inside the sly silhouette of Tiffany, flanked by her hulking heavies, scanning the room. "Oh my God," her friend whispered, gripping Kelly's wrist so tightly it almost hurt. "We need to go now," Kelly hissed, adrenaline spiking. They were not safe yet. She searched for an exit, scanning the crowded diner, weighing her options. Tiffany's gaze swept over the booths, her smile slicing through the sea of people like a predator picking out its next meal. Kelly felt panic clawing at her throat. Did Tiffany know? Were they spotted? The heavies began moving, eyes locked on her. Kelly's heart raced, She couldn't let them pin her down again. "Follow my lead," she murmured, forcing herself to breathe, with one burst of determination. Kelly stood up and bolted toward the kitchen, her friend close on her heels. If they could just slip through the back. Tiffany's laughter echoed behind them. "You can run, but you can't hide, love." As they dashed through the kitchen, chaos erupted once more, orders shouted over sizzling grills and clattering dishes. They pushed past startled cooks, emerging at the back door, only to find it blocked by a familiar face that sent terror crashing down around them. Jake stood there, bloodied and battered. "Get back inside," he yelled, urgency coursing through his voice. "Tiffany's not far behind. You have to trust me." Did she? Would she risk everything, even after so much? But looking into his eyes, filled with pain and resolve, a flicker of hope surged in her chest. "Are you with me?" he pressed, the question hanging heavily between them. In that single moment, time seemed to stretch. Kelly knew they had to decide, run or fight. The decision lay heavy in the air, the shadows closing in. What would Tiffany do next? The clock was ticking, and the past was catching up fast. Would love be enough to save them this time? Kelly's mind raced with all that had happened as she looked at Jake, the blood on his shirt stark against the white fabric. What on earth had Tiffany done to him? But his gaze burned with determination, urging her to take immediate action. "Jake, are you okay?" she managed, voice trembling. "I will be if we get out of here." His thumb rubbed against the fresh cut on his brow, brushing the sticky blood aside. "But we can't stay here. We need a plan." Outside, chaos loomed. Tiffany's laughter floated through the kitchen's heavy door, a chilling reminder that danger was close. Kelly felt the fear clawing at her throat, but she couldn't let it overtake her. "Right, we need a car. We can't use our phones. They'll track us." Jake nodded, urgency painted across his bruised face. "There's a garage a few blocks away. I saw it while he cut himself off," the memory stinging. "While you were dealing with them." Her voice remained low, full of concern mixed with anger. She hated that he was pushed into this fight. "Let us just move," he urged, grabbing her arm. Together, they slipped through the back door, leaving behind the noise of the diner and stepping into the alleyway, the biting cold air embracing them like an unwelcome ghost. Kelly's heart pounded as adrenaline coursed through her. "Okay, remember the garage?" Jake whispered, leading them deeper into the alley. "I can't believe we're doing this again," Kelly said breathlessly. "Feels like we never left that nightmare." In that brief moment of clarity, she spotted Tiffany's heavies at the diner entrance, scanning the crowds. A sense of dread settled over her. They were getting closer. "Now!" Jake hissed, taking off as they skidded around the corner. The garage loomed ahead like a dark promise, but would they make it in time? They reached the door, banged on it, and after a brief moment the door opened. An older man peered out, confusion on his face. "What's going on?" "Get us a car," Kelly shouted before peeking over her shoulder. The two thugs were already barreling down the street after them. "Who the hell are you?" the man demanded. "Just let us in, please." His fear turned to anger. "You think you can just barge in here? Get out of the way or die," Jake shouted, adrenaline taking over. "This isn't a fucking joke." The man hesitated, glancing to the approaching figures before finally stepping aside. "In. Now." They squeezed past him and into the dimness of the garage. Kelly's heart still thudded against her ribcage as she scanned the rows of parked cars. "Which one?" she asked, panic creeping in again. "Any car that starts." Jake's voice was sharp and urgent. Suddenly, the garage door creaked ominously. They had moments. "Look for keys." Something. Kelly felt the weight of time racing against them. Each second felt like a countdown to their doom. In the corner, she spotted a set of keys hanging lazily from a hook. "Over there," she cried, grabbing the keys just as the door thudded louder. Tiffany's taunting voice reached their ears, chilling Kelly to the bone. "You think you can run? You can't escape me. You're mine. Keys. Now," Jake shouted. But just as they were about to head for a car, a loud crash resounded as the garage door buckled under the weight of something powerful hitting it. In that moment, everything felt like it was spiraling into chaos. They were trapped. What do we do? Her friend cried out, fear wide in her eyes. Gather your courage. Jake snapped. We fight. But how? Kelly's throat tightened with fear. They were two against an army. Menacing shadows loomed, closing in on them. The moment of terror heightened. Kelly felt the walls closing in, but she could also sense a flicker of hope. They needed to stick together, even if the odds felt impossible. As the door shattered, and the silhouettes of Tiffany's henchmen loomed larger, she could almost feel the weight of her choices pulling her down. Run! Kelly screamed, dashing toward the nearest car as the garage erupted into chaos once more. But when they reached it, would they manage to escape? Or was this the moment they had waited for, only to find it slipping through their fingers? In the depths of despair, she couldn't shake the chilling thought. This nightmare was just beginning. What would Tiffany unleash next? Kelly gasped as she dashed toward the nearest car, her heart thrumming wildly in her chest. The shadows behind them were closing in, a menace she could practically feel breathing down her neck. Jake followed closely, muscles tense, determination etched on his bloodied face. They needed to act fast or risk being caught in Tiffany's web once more. The car, an old sedan with a grease-stained exterior, felt like a lifeline. Kelly fumbled with the keys, her hands shaking. Come on, she urged, the urgency thick in her voice. Behind them, the garage door ripped apart with a deafening crash, splintering wood flying as Tiffany's thugs surged into the room. Panic clawed at her throat. Jake, get in, she shouted, shoving the keys into the lock. With a click, the door swung open. They dove into the car, almost tumbling over one another in their haste. Kelly turned the key in the ignition, praying to every deity she could think of. The engine sputtered and coughed, a chug of defiance, then roared to life. Go, 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 Jake shouted, glancing over his shoulder at the oncoming storm of thugs. Kelly slammed her foot down on the gas pedal, the car lunging forward like it had a life of its own. Hold tight. She swerved out of the garage, escaping just in time as a figure lunged to grab onto the back. The roar of the engine drowned out his guttural shout. The street opened up in front of them, a chaotic mix of neon lights and late-night wanderers. To anyone watching, they were just another car in the thrumming city. But for Kelly, this was their only chance. Freedom, adventure, and danger all rolled into one. Where to? She asked, her voice still shaky from adrenaline and fear. Anywhere but here, he cried, eyes darting as they shot through the streets. But we need to lose them. They'll track us. Kelly tightened her grip on the steering wheel, determination flooding through her. I know just the place. She sped toward an industrial area, the buildings towering above like sleeping giants. Into the heart of the labyrinth they plunged, navigating side streets until the sounds of their pursuers fell further behind. After what felt like an eternity of twisting and turning, they finally came to a halt in front of an old, abandoned warehouse. This should be safe, she said, breathless. Let us hope so. Jake glanced around cautiously before he opened the door, stepping out into the damp, cool air. They ducked inside the warehouse, every creak of the floorboards echoing through the massive space. Shadows enveloped them, but it felt like a refuge from the horrors outside. We need to regroup and figure out what to do next. Kelly, Jake insisted, his voice low. This isn't over. As they moved deeper into the warehouse, the remnants of old crates and machinery cluttered their path. They chose a corner, settling in against a wall, the two of them panting heavily, adrenaline mixing with exhaustion. This is insane, Kelly breathed, shaking her head. I never thought it would come to this. Neither did I, Jake admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. But Tiffany is a real threat. She won T-stop. What is she? Kelly asked, her voice hushed. How could she sink so low? She's just like the people in power. I've seen it before. It's all about control. But she's been toying with lives, yours, mine, everyone's. Kelly felt a knot of anger form inside her. And we're just supposed to let her win? No, Jake replied, eyes blazing. We're not. This is our chance. We need to expose her, to bring down whatever twisted empire she has built. What if we go to the police? She suggested, desperation clinging to her words. They can help us. Jake shook his head. Corruption runs deep. The police are on her payroll, she has eyes everywhere. Then what can we do? The weight of hopelessness hung heavy. Gather intel. If we can gather evidence of what she's doing, we can build a case? He replied, renewed determination flashing in his eyes. We just need to stay one step ahead. She can't win if we play smart. But we can't go back. She'll just Kelly started, panic creeping back into her voice. We won. We'll take the fight to her. I overheard things, meetings, plans for something big. You were right about her exploiting everything. If we can get the proof we need, we can turn the tables. Like what? Her connections. Her power plays. This warehouse, it's part of something bigger. If we can dig enough, we can expose her. Just as the plan began to crystallize, the silence of the warehouse broke. A distant sound echoed through the open space, an unwelcome reminder of the storm lurking just outside. Kelly felt the hairs stand on the back of her neck. Did you hear that? She whispered, suddenly alert. Jake nodded, his expression shifting to concentration. Get ready. We might not be alone. Then, from the shadows ahead, the muted footsteps grew louder, softer, but still present. Kelly felt a rush of fear once more, but then she heard a familiar voice call out. Kelly! Jake! Who? She breathed, straining to see through the dim light. As the figure emerged, her heart soared. It was the bartender from that fateful night, his face illuminated in the flickering light. I found you, he exclaimed, relief washing over his features. You're in danger, we got to move. Danger from who? Jake demanded, stepping protectively in front of Kelly. From Tiffany. She's mobilizing her forces. Their SA hit out for both of you. You have to trust me. Trust. The word felt heavy, filled with unspoken risk. Yet, deep down, Kelly sensed urgency engraved in her bones. They were being hunted, and the shadows loomed large. Let us go. Let us go. Kelly urged, ready to step back into the unknown. Together, they ventured into the darkened corners of the warehouse, each step taken with the breath of hope and the relentlessness of determination. Tonight, they might just gather the pieces they needed to bring lightning to the chaos and reclaim their lives. This was the moment they would change everything. Now wasn't the time to hesitate. Together, they would rise and fight like hell to ensure Tiffany's reign of terror finally came to an end. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next gripping installment of this saga. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us reach even more incredible fans of the story. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, your theories. What do you think will happen next? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support matters more than ever in the fight against the tides of darkness.